States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is your pleasure with the warrant?
I move we accept the warrant as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Next select board meeting will be in the new year, January 2nd, here at the town hall. Old business, discussion, boundary line with Bath. We're going to table this again, but we have had discussions with our attorney. I think she is setting a meeting up with Bath, so until we have that meeting, we're going to table it one more time. And sorry if it feels like we're not going anywhere, but I think we are making some.
Oh, you're racing right along.
State valuation report discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I just wanted to briefly go over the state valuation with you tonight. I know it was brought up in discussion a little bit. We had talked about this a little bit earlier in the year, coming off the revaluation. And if I provided you the preliminary state valuation report, which might break it down a little bit easier for you, but basically on the second page it shows, second and third pages, it shows the results of the state of Maine's audit of the town. They come in and audit every community every year based upon your assessment records, and this, for the preliminary state valuation of 2025, is actually based on your 2023 numbers. So the state runs 2 years behind just in their evaluations of the town. So if you look down the second page, there's a column that shows the different ratios. The one ratio that we have been discussing has been the waterfront ratio. That's the one that seems to be out of line. It's at 109%, so still within the limits of acceptable standards with Maine revenue, but on the high side, we've identified the problems we feel we need to look at and fix for the town, and that's kind of a part of the ongoing situation. So just wanted to bring this up to you tonight.
Is that 109% based upon the changes in waterfront from the revaluation?
Correct.
Specifically that all of those properties are classified as steep water when they were on?
I don't know yet if that's the specific reason, but that I believe is what the large issue is with that percentage. So.
And so I've heard discussion around a plan to go out and revalue all, or do a site visit of all of those properties.
And it would be a combination of site visit, mostly statistical. We feel there's a lot of good data we have already. We would certainly go out and look at the properties that we would need to. I've been speaking with a lot of the coastal landowners who have a lot of nautical experience, and the game plan has kind of been to this winter bring everybody together so we can identify what exactly is deep water, what exactly is tidal, and what exactly is mud flat areas. There's a lot of information on the state of Maine's GIS website too that we've been looking at to try to help that. I think once the classifications are accurate, we run the sales ratio, see where we're at. I think that's going to take care of the problem. So I don't, it sounds like a big undertaking, but I think we can get it done for you pretty quickly.
Well, and in theory, it's in the acceptable range of 120% from the state, so.
Yeah, so when we review these, if we saw something that was inaccurate or needed to be addressed, we have great communications with Maine Revenue Service. We would certainly let you know about that and then discuss it with Maine Revenue. But with this valuation, I didn't see the need for that.
For my own education, what happens if we exceed 120%? That impact homestead exemption?
Well, Maine Revenue may require the town to do something about that. So every year, the town certifies at a ratio. It shouldn't be any higher than 110%. A lot goes into that, as far as what main revenue reimburses the town for. But if they saw something severely out of line, they would say, West Bath, you need to fix it as quickly as you possibly can and let us know how you're gonna do it. But we try to stay ahead of that as best we can.
I think there was, some of these were, there was two factors I think that led into some of the numbers that were off. One, we had a significant number of folks that had qualified for the stabilized properties that were also on the waterfront. So some of those were addressed in that time frame when they were going through that piece. But there's significant other properties that fall within the change in classification from the revaluation that I think have to truly be looked at, whether we pull title maps and really do a full analysis on it. And I'll say correct it once and for all. Because I think even before the revaluation, some were not properly classified either, but there's a way to do it properly and set it for good.
Any questions from the public?
In 25 years, Josh, in a lot of towns, I've never seen post-reval inland and waterfront being, in essence, 10 percentage points apart. Incredibly unusual. Clearly, I've spoken before that to me it was the last best shot for this community to have worked with Kristen as the attorney for whatever repercussions, as Madeline would like to describe it, with the Parker appraisal.
That's still ongoing.
What in writing from Josh, summarizing the oddity of it being this far off, has been presented to the attorney as the agent of all of us who live in town?
We had a lengthy conversation with her in an executive session, that's about all I can.
So nothing in writing.
I don't
Is that
think
the
we're at a
answer?
point to disclose what we have
Yes.
in Madam Chair.
If there is something in writing, public information, I want to read it.
Yeah.
Has a written report come from Josh to this town? I want to read it. Has there been one?
No, we're still working on several pieces to this. And part of it is trying to see what harm was done to the town and what the cost has been.
And I appreciate that. Josh, where have you seen it to be? You were saying you found nothing odd with this. Clearly, there are three very different considerations. The one you reference is whether main revenue will speak up as the auditors if we exceed a certain percentage. That is the least of our concerns. That is annual for every town, for every assessor. That is tea and cookies. The second question is, where have you ever seen, after a reval, that wide a discrepancy between inland and waterfront?
So I guess in saying that, as far as, I wouldn't necessarily say a discrepancy in a revaluation. If you're talking value.
I'm asking stats here.
That's one thing.
10% apart on waterfront and inland. Or have you primarily, in your assessing career, had combined audits because there's been insufficient waterfront sales on the municipal valuation returns that you are familiar with?
Sometimes
So
it's
that when
combined.
you have received a combined audit, it is masked when waterfront and inland are that far apart. So my question to you very specifically, for the record, I find it very unusual. I believe that Mike does. I'm speaking for Justin as the Thompson assessor. We find it stunningly unusual once the corrections in the third portion, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit before I finish my question to Josh. When corrective measures occur, statistically it's indicated we will lose value, assessed value of the waterfront by correcting it, which also means your mill rate's gonna go up. You lose value, your mill rate's floating up. So that's the third portion, that in these discussions, we can't be losing a heavy focus on. So to return to my specific question, what towns where you have been assessing, Josh, where it was not a combined study, because there was so little waterfront that it's just one overall percentage without being able to compare waterfront, non-waterfront, the year after a completed reval, have you seen such a huge 8-10 percentage point spread? I'm interested in.
I want to
I'm
interject
asking
something first, just to put a little perspective on this. So that's our 2024 valuation ratio, was the 99 to 109. In 23, it was 66 to 75, so essentially the same percentage.
Yeah, we said to have it corrected, yeah. Got it.
Well, so I'm just saying, it's the same delta that
Right.
we're talking
That
about
was
here.
the problem that we paid $150,000 to correct. So my question to Josh, I would appreciate an answer, please.
So if we're talking valuation, then the valuation, and I'm getting a little off topic from your original question, but as
I'll
far
come
as,
back around to it, go right ahead.
as state valuation is concerned, it is just on value. Would you agree with that? We're talking
I
about just
find that
valuation.
an odd question, so I'm not going to respond to it. My specific question is, it is very unusual until you are ready for a full reval to have your inland and your waterfront be that spread apart. There's nothing to put into perspective. It is a flat-out statement by some of the most experienced assessors in the state. You, in your earlier comments to the board, said that this audit seemed pretty routine to you. It is routine in the sense that I am not questioning if main revenue. Who signed off on that audit, by the way? I forget. Was it Andrea?
Andrea, yeah.
Oh, okay. I know and have worked with Andrea for years in multiple towns. Fantastic auditor. I am not questioning her statistical analysis on the basic framework of assessed value divided by sales, value, yada yada.
Mhm.
Not at all. I am questioning where you have seen specifically a community with that broad an expansion.
Well-
Immediately after a reval, or really at any time,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's,
What town?
well, I guess I'm not referencing any specific town, like as far as being able to reference anyone's state valuation as I stand here right now, that would be.
If you have been assessing in a town where you were 10% spread on
So-
inland as opposed to waterfront, I would expect that that would stand out in your mind.
We would, but you're asking after a
Who is
revaluation.
we?
You're
Well, at
asking-
any time.
When I say we, I talk about our company, and that's just a default, I always say
And
that.
are the actual Department of Labor employees, or are they
Yes.
independent contractors?
Both,
Okay, so you have a mixture.
correct.
All right, but you are paying workers' comp and withholding when you're saying we.
I don't
And
know
some
the
of these
relevance
people.
of any of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this is going. I think
That's just another question. When you're saying we,
My private
we
business.
is incredibly important to what this town has been dealing with for the assessing. So when
So-
you're saying we, then they're folks who've been working with you for a period of time.
Yep, and they could be 1099s, they could be employees of the company, they could be both. So as far as valuation is concerned, my recommendation would be you make adjustments annually based upon these sales ratios. And we have discussed looking specifically at your waterfront. And that has been my recommendation. So with this, we're talking valuation. As far as any appeals for state valuation, that's basically based upon error, or if we feel that the state is not accurately valuing West Bath, which in this case, I don't see that to be the case.
I agree with that. I mean, if they would, well, I guess I'm looking at the 9% delta we've had year over year. I don't think anyone in this room is denying that we've had an issue with our past revaluation that we're trying to address, both from legal recourse and fixing changes that were made to properties that perhaps should not have been changed. But we barely made it to commitment in time, and that certainly wasn't going to be addressed prior to going to commitment. I think we did it within days of us being able to do that. So I think that what we're seeing here is a concern from the company that I believe did the process, and we're looking at how to rectify it, both for the town.
I think we all agree with that, Suzanne. I want to be sure that this board of elected assessors is aware that this is not typical to have this spread at any time, let alone the year following the rebound. No, we would not have appealed this to the state unless we had had legal guidance that to go on the record, it might have been prudent. I very much doubt that it would have prevailed. So I have stated, as a highly experienced assessor, I am very confident in what Andrea did on that audit. I'm very confident with Maine Revenue Service. I lack comfort that the elected assessors are aware with real in your gut understanding of how incredibly rare that is when you are done with a rebound. You might be a couple of percentage points apart on your inland and your waterfront.
I might agree with you, Juanita, that we may not be, but I think we have Josh and we have our attorney, and I think we're relying on some good people to help us through this process.
And we have the confidence both in Josh and our new attorney to move forward with this and rectify the situation. I think that I guess the one piece that I feel that was left out of your summation is that the revaluation company that did this perhaps didn't meet our standard and has caused these numbers to be different than what we would have hoped for following a reval to change that
I believe
gap.
that's what I prefaced, the Packer appraisal, correct?
We are working to fix that. Is that this?
There's no criticism here.
No, but this level of discrepancy that came out of the reval is more than an easy fix. It's a significant element that we have to address. And I've spoken to Josh about that. If we're going to do this, let's do this right once and for all. And every parcel in this town that has waterfront can be compared to title maps and make sure that every parcel in this town, path forward, is properly classified.
And if Josh has folks going out into the field, be certain they are employees covered by his workers' comp policy. You folks, and you were not on the board, Keith. The prior board did not verify that Parker appraisal was covered with workers' comp.
We were
Your
told that they
prior
were.
town administrator was delusional that the state checked insurance because he was incorporated. You have a responsibility to be sure, when I'm hearing there may be a lot of waterfront site visits, that those are employees of Josh's covered by workers' comp, or that they are subcontractors covered by their own MEMIC workers' comp policy before they're out there on those ledges, anywhere in town.
Well, and I always preface it as we, because
I get it.
the company pulled off a year's worth of assessing in 8 weeks. Like we got done, when we came here, we had no clue that a year's worth of assessing had not been done.
In all facets.
In all facets. This was, personal property was in a binder, and that was it. We didn't have a deed.
Deeds weren't done for an entire year.
The appraisal, there was a lot of work. So it's typically, anytime we contract with the town, we always provide our insurance, workers' comp policies when needed. I'm pretty sure we gave that to you first off, but that's standard practice with every town we go to.
And the omission that I did not hear is, I also am going to have, anybody getting a 1099 will have workers' comp. And
Yeah.
the town will have a copy of it.
Well, if they're
To say that
self-employed,
it's
they don't
If
need
they're
to
out
have-
there, yeah.
they don't need to have workers' comp if they're self-employed.
If they're out there in the field,
They
the
do.
town needs to be.
They do
Yeah.
per town
Yeah.
ordinance. We will not hire anybody that is not covered by workers'
And
comp.
that's why we have an
The sole proprietors are
attorney.
exempt.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's
So
exemptions.
when you casually say some are W-2 and some are 1099, I go,
Yeah.
it's not a casual statement. So,
It was not intended to be casual or, it's just,
pardon the paranoia, we have.
understand, I
We
completely
have
get it.
been
I do.
watching this
Yeah.
as CMAs with horror.
Yeah.
And it's tax base.
And as taxpayers for well over a year, before we jumped to commitment that time.
And if I may say, our experience, at least in the last year, is we have to be much more careful and active in checking these requirements, because it doesn't make a bit of difference if they, oh, got it, oh, I've got the equipment you need for something. It has got to be people either in the office or you guys actually physically checking to see if they have it and have a copy of it on file.
I have utmost confidence in the town administrator that we're gonna be appointing tonight. We'll follow through with that process.
Okay, well, let's just see the change.
Well, I don't
I guess I'll also add that I have 18 years, not 25, but 18 years,
Right?
experience managing workers' comp and workers' comp claims. I assure you, that's not gonna slip the
Thank
cracks.
you, Keith.
Thank you,
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're here.
Thank you, Keith.
One more question for George. One of my major, what is Packer problem, let's phrase it that way. I never got an answer of how they are calculated. If you're doing a split,
Yeah.
there is no basis for
Mhm.
a waterfront is 10 feet, or a waterfront is 100 feet before it starts to count. I've never gotten a methodology. Have you discovered one as you
No.
wandered about?
No, it looks like they've gone straight acreage, no matter what, the
So,
frontage. It doesn't appear, it looks like they just went straight acreage.
if it got wet, then they called it waterfront, and if you had 10 feet, or if you had 300, 400, 600,
Yeah.
it was,
They made some adjustments based upon,
who complained loudly?
pretty much, from what I could tell.
And Josh, how many splits did your firm do for this commitment? And if there were overlooked splits, I'm not saying your firm overlooked them, but as I consider you one-on-one, I remain concerned that there are land splits that escaped
Yeah.
and were never presented to you. How many did your firm accomplish roughly?
Yeah.
I'm not Andrew, I'm not auditing it.
Yeah, I would say half a dozen to 8.
That's
I've
all.
got the folder right, I didn't even,
But less than a
But-
dozen is an okay talking point, is that a fair
Yeah,
talking
I would
point?
say so. I can find out for certain though, because we have them separated for when we update maps. And as Julie and I were talking about today, we have started the process of getting the town new tax maps. I reached out to my contractor that I use for all our mapping work, said, hey, I think West Bath, after talking with Julie, looks like they need some map updates, and she'd be available in February to start on that if we wanted to.
I've been since 2016, we're trying to get it done, so.
And it would come up with
Congratulations.
all
What firm
of
is
those.
that?
It is Lat Long Logic. Cindy Pellet, Lat Long Logic, Cindy Pellet. She's starting to do a lot of mapping for a lot of municipalities.
Well, and you mentioned, I think, Mike, a component that is, when we talk about methodology from an appraiser. We can't challenge a methodology in our revaluation, that it's at their liberty, and certainly we've learned a little bit about how to write that contract on when they put their methodology on how they're gonna go through certain elements. We didn't lay out our specification and the expectations. You seem concerned there, Juanita.
You certainly could challenge anything with a rebound. But yeah, I'm very concerned that you're thinking that. You folks challenged nothing because you had no written reports, you
The
had no
contract didn't call for
monthly.
it. My point is that we didn't have guidelines specified in how we wanted certain things done in the contract, and you, in theory, can't challenge it. If they're coming through with their methodology as a revaluation company,
I accept that the contract was atrocious. I said from
And-
day one, I think you have no standing at all.
which
I
is
think
why we can't challenge
We're
their
done. Spend
determination
the
of
money.
waterfront.
But
either.
there is a difference between challenging a methodology and stating you have no methodology.
Had you had someone doing a reval reporting to you consistently and in writing, you certainly not only could have, should have
We
knowledge.
know, certainly we've learned quite a bit of how the next contract's gonna look.
Yeah.
As volunteers, basically, for the town, is very difficult. I mean, it's very difficult.
I think we have a
undertake
great
these
team in
projects.
place,
Yeah.
with the changes of the staff in the town and what we're moving forward with this evening as a town administrator. I think the town should feel very confident in the people we have supporting our community right now.
I thought I'd be coming down here for a couple days a month of routine assessing work. That's really what I thought we were signing up for, but it's been a lot. But I and the rest of the company have been very happy to help the town out, and look forward to continuing on.
Just consider it part of your education.
What's that?
Just consider it part of your
It
education.
never stops. I'm sure Anita will tell you, it doesn't stop.
It's been a learning curve for many of us.
Right, exactly.
And in case you don't hear, we do appreciate everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
So,
For you to get us to commitment in the time frame that you did it, it was a small.
Looking
matter.
back, it was kind of, after we got all that done, is, gotta give a lot of credit to the people back at the office, that's for sure. But happy to be here.
Good.
We're happy you're here today.
Thank you.
anything else under old business?
So good job about that.
New business, appointment town administrator. So it is with great pleasure to announce that we have offered the job to Julie House, and she has accepted.
Congratulations.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
So,
You wanna sit at that seat now?
and don't say you never told me that. Assessing agent
We have to
contract.
sign her appointment.
Yeah, so, for the short term, Julie's gonna hold a couple of hats.
Again?
Again.
Short term.
So she will be our town administrator and also our public access officer for the remainder of 1 year, beginning July 1st and ending June 30th. We request that you be sworn in by the town clerk at your earliest convenience. Okay.
If I may, I'll also make a motion that we, the select board, sign the offer of employment letter that the attorney got.
Indeed.
Indeed.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Again, it's more than nothing.
Well deserved, really, truthfully.
Congratulations.
Wayne Bradshaw has been in every Monday for 2 months.
Asking?
Yep.
Well, no, it is public.
You want Julie to prick her finger and put blood.
Just a drop.
We do know that we're probably gonna need another office staff, and we'll work on that after the first.
Probably.
We will.
Will do.
We will. We just need a little bit of time. sometimes when you have too many wheels moving at the same time, it's hard to, but, yeah, we will move forward after the first week. Road Commissioner, Steve Renard, computer update.
Skip the assessing agent contract.
I did. Assessing agent.
This one runs out in 10 days.
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah, 10 days.
Do you forgive me? Okay, assessing agent contract is this one here, right?
Correct. Want me to read it in the record?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a letter to the town of West Bath. Dear Select Board, it has been a rewarding 6 months working alongside you and the community to help get West Bath back on track. Following the revaluation project, the town faced considerable challenges with residents and businesses expressing dissatisfaction and raising numerous objections. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of the RCF staff, we've made significant progress in restoring confidence in the assessing department. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together, but I believe this is only the beginning of the journey. To build on our momentum and ensure West Bath stays on the right course, I've attached an 18-month proposal for your review. I feel it's important to have this discussion now, as preparation for the 2025 tax commitment is already underway. Historically, the town processes its tax commitment in July, ensuring its tax bills are sent out in a timely manner to provide the essential cash flow every municipality relies on. Any delay in the continuation of our services could inevitably postpone the commitment process, leading to delays in issuing tax bills, much like the challenges faced this year. For the 2024 tax commitment, the town was unable to commit until late September, creating unnecessary stress for the town and its operations. This proposal is also intended to implement efficiencies in the daily operations of the town that will hopefully require less billable time from our company down the road. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to West Bath's success, and I look forward to discussing how we can help the positive trajectory moving forward. The proposal as presented, the contract proposal for January 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, with a monthly amount of $2,100. Revaluation work, adjustment of land amount, $10,000, time and materials. Services provided by RCS Assessment Services. All administrative work for the assessing department. This will include but not be limited to preparation of town valuations, appraisal and assessment record keeping, assisting in printing of tax bills, updating tax maps, performing appropriate field work, preparation of reports necessary to meet requirements of Maine state law. For example, annual municipal valuation returns, sales analysis return, annual tree growth report, and assisting the public with real and personal property valuations. Assesses the waterfront properties and properly code the correct waterfront classification, revaluation portion. Provide all the other assessing functions that can be performed by town staff, that cannot be performed by town staff. To be available for office hours 1 day per month if needed, for meetings with the public regarding property valuations and other concerns, and 12 undesignated days for field work, site visits, following up to building permits, commercial assessment work, commitment, and other duties. The town shall provide remote access, public general liability insurance, professional liability insurance, errors and omissions insurance, vehicle insurance, and workers' compensation for RCS employees. A day worked is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. or similar per agent employee. So when we stepped into this contract with Josh, we allocated $20,000 for a 6-month time frame. Now, we certainly went over that based upon some of the things we had in place, but our budgetary commitment was a $20,000 over 6 months. When I look at $2,100 a month, that's well beneath what we were looking to commit to in a shorter time frame. I myself am confident in what Josh has done for the town and would like to move forward with him. And I think this is an agreeable contract based upon what we were prepared to pay in the past.
And my other, along with this is, why would we change horses in the middle of the stream? I think that we need you to follow and complete this whole process with us. It doesn't make sense to change partners at this point in time. We need to complete this to the end, see what the finished product look like. And I think having a contract with RCS will help us get to the end.
My only ask is that in addition to insurance for employees, also include subcontractors. If required by law.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Also include insurance certificates for subcontractors if required by law.
Yep. Okay.
Do you want to make a proposal?
I move that we accept this contract with the addition of insurance for subcontractors as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Any other question?
I just have one question, is one day a month enough for George to be in-house to see citizens? I know there haven't been a lot of people in, but it wasn't on the website that he be here. So I question, is that enough time to get people to be able to talk to him?
I think Josh has always been open to, if people call the town and talk to Julie and need to see Josh, he's always been open to additional meetings. So I think if we had people that we could definitely get more time with Josh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how about, what would you think about having a set day, like the third Thursday
That's typically what we do.
of the month, so that we can put, so if it rolls into a select board meeting, it happens to be on the day of our meeting like we did tonight, that everyone knows that it's a set day, that you will be here on whatever the time frame is. I think that would be beneficial to have it as a standard.
Yeah, and what we have found, what I have found, I don't know, what works best for us as a company is we always used to try to get our work done the day that we would come down. And then you'd have office visits and catching up with staff, and it just doesn't work. So typically, the office hour day, we don't really plan to get, like, it's not a deed day, a personal property day, it's really just for residents and other town staff. So when people reach out, we're still available. But we're not gonna come here and prepare our abatements for tonight's meeting the day that we're in there. We typically will get all that stuff done outside of normal office hours. Certainly, if there are extenuating cases where people need us to be there for inspections or whatever it is, we make those accommodations. But what I've found is most folks that think they need to come down and sit down and talk with you, once you talk to them on the phone, you take care of the issue, it goes away, so.
Well, I was presuming, hopefully we don't go to a commitment like we had last year. That we have, as things get, I'll say, on track. And we're gonna, I think you'll see, of those 12 additional days, beyond the 1 day per month, that those may be more frequent and closer to commitment.
That's right, yeah.
Just to get us through the process than having it as a secondary schedule, per se, just to make sure that we stay on track.
Yeah.
Juanita?
And I'm not Josh's mother, but I'm still concerned on Josh's behalf. I have a lot of people in the public really do not know Josh was available. You now have it on the website, and you have a phone number up there. Apparently, the holidays, people have been busy enough that they have not connected with it. What Josh is quoting in terms of what you're gonna send to the budget committee and get your article on the warrant, and that I'm concerned that he's going to, I don't want RCS having so many more phone calls compared to what Josh, in the more limited time frame he's been here, is expecting, to then be taking unfair advantage at the rate Josh is quoting on a monthly basis. And we're not looking at what is on the web is useless. There's no sketches, there's no photos. This has nothing to do with Josh. But in order, if you cut into your web, there's a lot of cleanup that's got to be done. That was basically things that were destroyed, again, time-wise, being fair to Josh, who has more than earned our fairness. But also the taxpayers and the questions that the rest of us know are out there. Food for thought.
Well, so we have, I mean, there's a line item in here that's, I'll say, separate from our standard plan, which is gonna be the revaluation adjustment of land. So there's, I mean, that's a whole other, I presume that those pieces are separate from
That's the
the
10,000.
daily, correct, from the daily
I agree with that.
stuff that's gonna happen. So I think we put, and I'm not trying to undercut you, Josh, by any means, but I think, if you feel this is, I guess if we go over, what happens then?
I think the town has done a very good job of any contract we've had where something has changed. Snow plowing
Yep.
and the gas price went up, salt, adding additional funding to that contract just by having the person come in and say, I've spent all this time I didn't plan on, or gas went up, or salt went up. I think the luxury of having a small town, we can make those changes.
Then could we have you say 90 days from now that you are asking Josh to provide you feedback that once it's been up there on the website, that he will tell you before we get into cutting an article for the warrant, if he is finding there is significantly more, I'm gonna say phone traffic, it could be anything, I'm not limiting it to that, Josh.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm anticipating you may find, that there's significantly more taxpayer communication moving his way than he anticipates, because he's not at Hannaford and Shaw's and trying to outrun people in the parking lot.
Yeah,
At least here.
I would say 90 days that we request, so it doesn't sound like, well, here it is on the agenda, Josh didn't plan it well, we know it's a situation, couldn't we be saying 90 days from now?
And
We're
Josh
gonna
may be
invite him to
planning
do that?
very well. The state could throw something in here and say, hey, West Bath, you really screwed up on this. Right. And then Josh has to help us out of it. I mean, it happens.
We'll hear on the next audit.
Right, so, I mean, you're right, things do come up, can come up.
I'm comfortable with as it sits today.
I'm comfortable too, because I think Josh will definitely tell us.
I think we have one more big push, and we will have things calm down. That's how and I feel this covers that. But I appreciate.
You should be protected, and the taxpayers should be too.
Typically, if it was a lot more work than I anticipated, much like when we got here.
Right.
I came to you and said, I didn't realize we were picking up the slack for a whole year. So I'm certainly, I would let you know if I felt it was being more
Overwhelming.
correct, and taking up more resources than what we had originally allocated, but.
I think just by having your time,
And I think there's nothing wrong asking them 90 days from now, how's things going,
Yep.
how's things look, is it more work than what you thought? I think we should have that communication anyways.
Yeah, I would
So-
agree.
I appreciate you mentioning that, because if we're gonna make this work, that we need to have that communication.
and it's gotta work for both parties.
Maybe it's more like 75. 90 puts us
Okay.
close to the end of the budget.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Keith, that is valid too.
Good thinking.
It's fine, a couple months out.
Yeah.
And as far as the revaluation portion, I put that in as like a time and material, so we would work, that's kind of where I think we would end up by the time we were done with it. If it only takes half the time, we would only bill for that amount of time.
Yes.
another question for Josh, in the things we've never been able to find out category. As you have gone through, are you seeing the grading something that you can grasp has some sensibility to it, or is it just wildly inconsistent? I know there is no, this is a grade.
Yeah. Everybody grades different, as you know. I mean, we have the standards from main revenue. Some people reduce down by 5% for some reasons and increase by 5% for others.
I'm really what I'm asking is, when you look at a building that says this is a B, when you go there, it looks like a B. I don't know.
Why does it look like the other Bs you've seen? It's hard to tell because the tax cards are worthless on the website.
Well, and that's, I'd have to spend some more time around West Bath, really, and looking at the properties, just.
You have, okay, I'm speaking of walking into other towns, and time you hit 10 cards, you say, you haven't hit.
No, I have not hit that.
Yeah.
I think it's high, but consistently high.
And not using the commercial module. There are many factors that these elected assessors, you in no way created it, Josh. But we are paying for those modules as the taxpayers.
They're getting
We're
into
not
web
utilizing them.
We're using them tonight, we're going to web tonight.
And
We're not using the commercial modules, we're not using the sketch module.
Sketch was just loaded.
You've got photos loaded into the sketches.
Yes,
You don't have
but-
the sketches, so
but
they
we-
can't be altered.
The actual software of Sketch was loaded on the computer yesterday. Today? Yesterday.
The module,
The
not the
module.
sketches themselves.
Sketches. Yesterday, so that it's not, yes, we have an issue because the sketches that are there actually has a second picture and not a live sketch.
Yes, it's not functional, that's correct.
So, yes, the prior revaluation issue has extended that issue, because now we have to sketch each asset in this town into the sketch software for it to be a functioning component.
Agreed, I've been telling you that for a year. Yep.
And so we're in that process, and I don't wanna speak out of turn, but I believe as we're sitting in this room, we are going to Trio Web.
Mhm. And you're pulling the sketches back out of Vision and transferring them?
I don't think that's happening. I think we're gonna have to do new ones.
where it sits right now, we'd have to re-enter all the sketches. So if we did want to go through that exercise, that'd be.
The unfortunate thing is
Another project.
the Vision server was disconnected and is no longer functioning.
There's huge amounts of labor hours, not to
Prior
bring it tonight.
prior to any of this
But in
happening.
fairness, you really want to recognize Josh got you to commitment. We are very grateful. He got you there with sticks that were passed to him. It did not build a structure.
And we see most of the potholes that are in front of us. We're trying to fill them as we go. And that's, kind of where we're at. It's, we can't undo what's been done.
No, but you can
And
plan. Manage plan.
Yep, and this information is in discussion with our attorney as well. Or attorney.
Yeah.
He won't be put when he's done.
So in the contract with Parker, there wasn't any provision for communication or reportage, is that right? Not what you wanted.
In the contract. It wasn't.
No,
There wasn't.
the contract, unfortunately, that we were given was a fill-in-the-blank
Yeah, okay.
contract.
What, in this contract, are you getting what you need in those terms?
So we're looking at, so there's a couple things. We've gone to, literally in the process this evening of going to WebTrio, which I think is and we're activating components through Harris that are part of this process, which is Sketch is one of the components there. And it most likely is going to require us to enter each building sketch onto the property card to make it a live piece.
And I think the other part of this is the select board has access to this attorney, each and every one of us.
At a flat rate.
And for some reason, there was no access prior to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big change. I mean, any one of us can call our attorney and ask questions, and she meets with us on a regular basis. We talk about the issues we still need to resolve. That wasn't there before.
Yep.
And it's primarily Kristen with whom you're dealing.
Right, and she's been writing our contract, so.
Excellent.
Everything that we do goes to the attorney, and every contract that comes out, we have full confidence in what she's giving us. So, even when there was 2 different versions of the Parker contract. One that we saw and one the attorney had recommended. So that's kind of,
Part of my laugh.
right, it's painful though. I mean, literally, but the attorney had made recommendations that we
Right,
didn't know about,
I understand.
which
that.
would have covered what we're in right now.
Yeah,
And we
okay.
have great faith in Julie, but we've learned our lesson from the past, and we can't do this in a silo.
Mhm.
Thank you for listening. My concern is nothing that Josh created,
I'm
but
gonna blame
that
it
you have been in a bunker,
Mhm.
and it is a lot greater damage than you would.
I'm appalled at what we're uncovering, actually.
And I've been saying it for a year, so thank you for now listening.
I mean, the problem really comes back to what the state valuation is. I mean, the problem goes right into that. And we've got, what, 50%, over 50% increase in 3 years in the state evaluation, which makes a difference for what you get back from them on the educational side. And that's a killer. I mean, we may redefine what it is to be a minimum receiver this next year. So if we
Unique.
rectify that at all, that would be,
It's gonna be a tough one.
it is gonna be a tough one. I mean, because we know the median property in this town hasn't gone up 50% in 3 years.
Jane, did you have a question?
I just don't want to be redundant about making sure that we add on the website and any opportunity to let citizens know that this is getting, that we have more information and we have jobs available, so that people will just not sit there and say, well, I can't do anything about this. There's been a lot of people who've been sitting back and saying, when this gets straightened out, then I want to, ask some questions, including us. So we want to make sure that it's clear on the website and any other means that people know that that's the case.
Well, I'm just gonna, for clarification, we've agreed the 3rd Thursday of the month is your set date. Is that accurate? Yes?
I believe that's what we were discussing, yeah.
Okay.
Is that going to get, so that's not going to get select board all the time, is it?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, we set the assessing agent, no.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought we did. We voted to accept the
I think we
contract.
first and second, but I don't think we, all in favor? Yeah.
Throw some to
Okay, road commissioner, Steve Renard, computer update.
So Steve couldn't make it tonight, but his computer is here. We had a quick lesson with Jeremy Prue from Pine Tree. His email's all set up. The program, the state gives you more in-depth training. So I'm just waiting to hear back from the state when they can come down, and I told Steve I would train with him. So we have a couple eyes learning it.
Would it be appropriate to have the clerk do it as well, or no?
No, unless we have more than just the two of us.
I think he'd like to have his deputy,
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm just trying to think of
Nick, he wants Nick to
Carol,
learn.
yep.
So hopefully we'll have that all updated.
I'm glad to hear it. moving along.
He would like Nick to do a lot of work on that this winter.
Approve special town meeting warrant. In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the voters of the town of West Bath and the said county qualified by law to vote at town affairs to meet at the West Bath Town Hall in the said town on Thursday, the 16th of January, 2025, at 5:30 o'clock in the evening, then and there to act upon the following articles set out to wit. Article 1, to choose a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. Article 2, shall the school board of directors be authorized to negotiate and enter into tuition contracts for grades 6 through 12 with nearby school administrative units for a term of 2 to 10 years, and on such other terms as conditions as the school board of directors may negotiate in the best interest of the town and the students. Board of Selectmen recommend yes. So are we gonna approve this special town, are we all in agreement?
Make a motion, we approve the warrant as presented.
I'd like to make an edit to it. We are no longer selectmen, not that I care that I'm called that, but we're called a select board.
Well, it's Selectmen, one place, Select Board, and not that.
Covered all bases.
I'm just saying that the state made us officially change that.
Select board is contemporary.
All in favor?
We can't have to change it to.
Suzanne? Really? Then we're gonna have to all vote, all come in and sign
No, we can
it?
sign it after, it's,
No, you can't.
can we sign after the fact if we?
Yeah, you can, but you're gonna have to come in, so, all right, whatever. Good luck.
I'll do a corrected one before you guys leave.
All right.
Okay, well, I'll go upstairs.
New business Article 5, paid family medical leave law.
Do we have anything?
So last week's paper.
Looks like this.
Oh, sorry, it was after my motion.
So we do have a new municipal employee bill. The Maine legislature enacted a new paid medical and family leave law in 2023. 26 MRS 850A 850R. The law provides eligible public and private sector employees with up to 12 weeks of paid time off for family or medical reasons, including illness, to care for a relative or the birth of a child. Are we?
Essentially, it's funded with a payroll tax, 1% of payroll, and we have to decide whether we're gonna take on half of that as the employer, or, excuse me, all of it.
And the school did half and
The
half.
school did 50-50 split.
So are we considered fewer than 15 employees?
No.
No, not with the school.
You're getting close to that 50 employees. Equivalent employees.
What is your recommendation?
My recommendation is that we do the 50-50 split, consistent with the school.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any other new business? Public comment? Future agenda items?
It would be helpful for me, and I'm not sure if it needs to be a meeting topic or just somebody I connect with. I know the board has adopted a number of board policies over the last few years. I don't have access to them. If they're stored centralized and I could see them, I'd love to do so. And if not, maybe we should also look at putting them in a centralized shared folder now that we have access to OneDrive, so that everyone knows where they are. Could link them to the website.
So let me ask a very, I probably don't want to ask this question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave this. What, do you know, all the policies that we voted in, where did they go? Just thin air, did they go?
I have no idea. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I don't want you to, because I
So,
have a
we-
feeling they're just,
When we chatted with Kristen, about having her review the HR manual, the policies, because I asked every single time, had our town attorney seen them and received
Right.
an affirmation that it had. I'm not confident that they actually made it that far.
but we signed things. Where did those things go? We signed the, help me out here, Juanita,
We did the hard copies of anything and everything you
Well,
signed,
we
Joe.
did, I know there was a committee policy,
there was a
there
right.
was a committee
meeting
code of
policy,
ethics,
rights
there's a
of-
handbook. I just wanna make sure I'm following the rules, and it's hard to do if I don't know what the rules are.
I apologize.
And if we don't, then let's create it.
I'm
No,
not
I don't
helping
too.
you.
It was the,
See
it
what I
was
can
how to
find.
run a meeting and it had the, something, we all signed off on that and it was
Oh, I
signed
know, I
off
have a
on.
memory, I do not even recall what it was titled, I
Me neither.
There's
apologize.
significant information that is not found in this town hall.
We may wanna revisit some of them and recreate them.
Now, it's quite possible that it's in our, I've kept, my email, and now that you guys are all using the same email. I'm pretty sure that I requested all of those to be sent to us. I may have initial digital versions of them. I can go back and look.
And I'm certainly happy to help write whatever needs to be written, I just.
There's a couple of file cabinets in the back office that I really haven't looked in.
Understand.
You
Been a little busy.
gotta be strong.
Certainly not a criticism, just, I have no.
Any other future agenda items?
Actually, it's time, but I may come up with some down the road.
I had one 10 minutes ago, but I forgot it already.
January 2nd, you're having a public hearing for the special town meeting before your meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
And just a reminder, dog registrations are available. And just for people who don't know, we did have the dedication of the Boston Cave on Tuesday.
Yep.
Went very well. It was a nice little ceremony with the first graders from West Bath performing.
It was a cute post on Facebook if anybody looked. And
Where
then-
the street is, it was very nice.
Yeah, and then Jonathan entertained the kids while they waited for the bus, which
He
was
sure
just
did.
a highlight.
Yeah.
I think he said he answered 400 questions.
I want to thank John for that. The kids loved it. I was at the school today for their celebration of learning, and it was a big hit. So thanks to John for that.
Any chance you're going back there tomorrow?
Now I live across the street, so.
I promised Cash I'd get him his candy cane, which I have in the car.
I'll take it.
That
I don't know.
presentation.
Because I literally went out and bought a box of candy canes so that he would get the same candy cane that all the other kids
We
had.
just don't
I'll
know.
make sure it gets delivered, I promise.
I don't want, I thought, I
I make a motion, we adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Hallelujah.
She shuts that off, I do it.